Ubisoft just released their player protection update for this season, and in this video I'm going to be explaining everything they have written down here. They have a lot of really interesting information here that we can look at, and it honestly really responds to a lot of the issues that I have addressed in YouTube videos on this channel regarding the current state of the game and the cheaters, things like that. So I think it was definitely appropriate to make this video, kind of just reacting to this whole entire player protection update. I know I'm a few days late on it, but like I said, I think this is really important for the game, so I'm not just going to forget about it. I think this is definitely important. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and take a look. They start out by talking about anti-cheat, specifically the new anti-cheat development team. Now, this is probably not what you are thinking it is. It is not a new, entire anti-cheat. It's not like they're removing BattlEye and they're putting in a new anti-cheat software. BattlEye is here to stay, and it sounds like Ubisoft has been pleased with them based on what they have said over these last couple of weeks. So BattlEye isn't going anywhere, it's here to stay. Now, their development team here is changing. They said their new team is now composed of multidisciplinary expert developers with an increased field of expertise that has continued to ramp up since their last anti-cheat status update. So pretty much they're just kind of changing around, how their resources are being dedicated to cheating, or I guess anti-cheating, which I think is a good thing, and granted it is probably just a PR move to have this whole part here talking about new anti-cheat development team, but it's neither here nor there. And I actually really like this. They're kind of walking us through their strategy that they have with combating cheating in the game right now. So they have proactive, and then they also have reactive in this game, as in protection. So proactive, obviously exactly how it sounds. They're going to be implementing little pieces into the game that are going to be preventing any cheating software from happening in the future. Obviously it's proactive. And then there's also going to be reactive measures, which are going to be pretty much like responding to players who are cheating. If they detect cheating movements in the game, or they detect MNK player on console, things like that are going to be more reactive. So, and this is all great and all. Both of these headers starting off the update are pretty much givens. Like I would hope that these two things are being put in place to stop the cheating problem, considering it's so bad. So nothing all that crazy there. Then we get into proactive protection. So they're going to go ahead and talk about each of these proactive and reactive areas a little bit more specifically. So they're talking about encryption and binary hardening. To people who don't really speak this way in coding language, I guess this may seem a little bit confusing, including to myself. I'm no coder, but basically what they are trying to say is that they are going to be making it harder for new cheats to be developed into the future, and that goes along with the proactive. Obviously they're preventing anything from happening in the future by having this binary hardening, I guess. And with that also comes the unstable cheats after each season update, patch, or hotfix, as they talk about right here. So obviously like back in the beginning of this season, year 9 season 2, normally it takes a while when the new season comes out for the cheaters to develop new cheats, because as a new patch comes out, the cheaters have to entirely recode it all and have it all work in the game, and they're pretty much successful every single season. But normally it takes a while. Normally you have a few days of the new season being out to play before you hit that wall of just playing against constant cheaters, because like I said, it does take a while. In year 9 season 2, pretty much an hour or two after the season came out, you were already facing entire lobbies of cheaters. At least from what I hear from other PC players, that's how it was. As a console player, it wasn't quite as bad, obviously, but I do empathize for my PC players out there. But here is Ubisoft responding to that directly, as pretty much just restating what they said up here, just in a more specific context, talking about investing in more binary hardening for seasons to come in the future, making sure the game security is more tight so that this problem doesn't happen, so that you don't face cheaters in the first hour of the season being out, because that's just not fair. Now moving on, they talk about the reactive protection. Now these are some things that we've already seen before, but they're kind of expanding on them. So we have the QB system, and they have talked about this before back in late 2022. Pretty much this was their security system for their anti-cheat, and It was, fine back in 2022. They said it was going to be a game changer, and they're talking about here how they're saying this expansion on the QB system is going to be a game changer for the disruption of cheat makers. So they obviously say they cannot share technical details, which makes sense because the more details they share, the easier it is for cheaters to combat their anti-cheat. It's kind of a slippery slope. But either way, them expanding on this is a step in the right direction, even though it wasn't done really well the first time around, and here we are having to, make a change to it. They're talking about testing a prototype in Year 9 Season 4, which is disappointing, but look at it in a broader sense. It's probably only about 4 months until Year 9 Season 4, so in the grand scheme of things, of course, this is not going to be that long before this is added into the game. And then we talk about Mousetrap, obviously MNK detection on console. This is something that I experience a lot more considering I'm an Xbox player. So Mousetrap was first released in Year 8 Season 1, and to be honest with you, I loved the idea of it ever since it came out. In theory, it would work perfectly, and they're saying how it has reduced spoofing devices by 78%. And I can tell you right now, as someone who has played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ranked matches since Year 8 Season 1, there is no way that 78% of spoofing devices have been decreased, And anyone else who's played console knows that as well, especially the people who are higher up in ranks. A lot of the time in Diamond 1 lobbies, I'm the only one who isn't on MNK or using a recoil reducer like Cronus or something like that. And I saw a lot of people on Reddit talking about this, and it makes perfect sense to me. This 78% figure right here, I don't know where they pulled it out of, but a lot of people think it's just how much they detected. It's how much Mousetrap has seen, it's how much Mousetrap is recognized of the spoofing devices, not how much they've physically gone out there and reduced and solved the problems for. And they're not saying it's perfect, so there's more to this. They're talking about how they're going to continue to focus their Mousetrap efforts on its detection capabilities, which I certainly think is a good thing considering it hasn't been very accurate in its, 2 years of being around, I guess less than 2 years now. And it's definitely time for them to implement some new update or new system to try to crack down on this. Now this Mousetrap PC matchmaking part is a little bit interesting to me. They are talking about how they are going to force any confirmed users of spoofing devices into PC matchmaking. This is something we've unofficially known about. We knew Ubisoft was going to do this, but it just seems weird. I feel like they should be canceling games if they are detecting someone using a spoofing device. So if someone using a spoofing device gets into a lobby with, people who are honest players, then they should just cancel the game, the same way that they would be detecting any cheaters on PC that are in lobbies with honest players, and then they just cancel the game, and they talk about that down here. We're going to talk about it more in a few seconds here, or a few moments. But yeah, basically they're just saying they're putting any console MNK players straight into PC lobbies and ensuring that PC recoil is activated so it's a level playing field. And it's a step in the right direction. I'm not going to complain too much. It would have been nice if this all would have worked back in 2022 whenever this was first introduced, but like I said, it's something. So Match Cancellation 3.0, this will be coming in Year 9 Season 4, again supporting the fact of what I said earlier, that it's going to be a long rest of this season and a long Season 3 until we get to Season 4, where we're going to have some better changes coming to this game, stopping the cheaters. But basically it's going to feature an entire cheater match cancellation, which I think is a great addition. And this will take me back to that Mousetrap thing that I was just talking about. So pretty much once the cheater is confirmed, they're going to be automatically canceling the match. And this is going to take a lot of time. I'm sure this is not going to be perfect in Year 9 Season 4, along with all these other things they have introduced that were not perfect right away. But I do, like I said, think it is a step in the right direction. In theory, ideally, this should work perfectly. Now, will they be able to detect cheaters right away and be able to cancel the match? Probably not. It probably will take a lot of trial and error, but it being in the game is certainly something that is going to help out. And then they give us a message from the anti-cheat team, obviously talking about how cheating is a top priority for our game. Again, this is kind of another PR move from Ubisoft showing that they care, which is great and all. Obviously, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, so I'm glad that they care. And implementing all of these things into the game, like how I said, in theory, is actively showing how much they care. It's just a matter of if they work or not, and my fingers will obviously be crossed. Then we pivot a little bit talking about anti-toxicity. This will kind of take us into reputation and things like that. Again, a really interesting part of this update here. And also, again, another direct response to one of my past videos I made sort of critiquing Ubisoft. So I'm glad to see that they really are listening to the community. Obviously not saying that they're listening to me directly, but if I have these concerns, and you guys probably also have the same concerns. So yeah, pretty much what they have going on here. This is all kind of just redundant, talking about how they want to reduce toxicity in game, which makes total sense. And they're talking about some of their learnings from the reputation system since it was first released in its beta form, and they are recognizing that they have not met this standard yet. They are hoping for their anti-toxicity and reputation system to be meeting, and that through this beta they are pretty much able to move forward so that they can continue to work towards their primary goal, which is protecting the community and rewarding those players who are honest and, I guess not toxic, and then punishing the players who are making it harder for those honest players. So what they're basically saying here is that they're removing abusable actions that affect a player's reputation standing, and they're also removing any anti-toxicity features that can be abused or exploited. So we know about this already, the deactivation of written chat and voice chat, penalties, and there's also the deactivation of the friendly fire kick. And then we have in Year 9 Season 4 the future removal of abusable or inaccurate actions which feed the reputation system, and then a future update which does not have any timetable on it says a removal of the reverse friendly fire deactivation after reviving a teammate due to its abuse, which makes sense. We've all seen this abuse before in game. And then they are going to be having a complete refresh in Year 9 Season 4 yet again for the reputation system, so it's going to be a lot easier to understand your standing, your reputation, which thank God, because I don't think it could have gotten any more complex than right now. It just makes no sense, and they recognize how they haven't been transparent. So again, another good thing. They have this mousetrap implementation, obviously in context of the reputation system, so obviously anyone using spoofing devices will have an effect on that player's reputation, which again is something that should have been a part of the mousetrap back in 2022 but didn't fully work then, so hopefully it works now. And they're going to be adding in AI text chat moderation. This makes sense, not a whole lot to talk about here. Pretty much just flagging anything that is inappropriate. And then they're just talking about how they are hoping to make all of this understandable and transparent for our players upon full release, which again is the goal. And then just a few other features here looking at anti-toxicity. They're talking about the commendation system, saying how it hasn't been exactly what people are looking for and how they're hoping to change it in regards to making it a little bit more rewarding for those who play regularly in squads. Nothing all that important here. And then in-game reporting overhaul, trying to make it a little bit more accurate with how they report players. Automatic voice chat moderation. I'm sure this will be like how the AI thing is up here for the written chat moderation, so making sure that anything that is inappropriate or rude or toxic will get filtered out and potentially that player could be reported or banned immediately. And then they're talking about the reputation system dependencies, which makes sense because this reputation system is meant to be intertwined with a lot of different parts of the game, and if it doesn't work, then a lot of different parts of the game aren't going to work. And I know a lot of people have their very strong feelings about the reputation system, but I really do think that they can do it. I think that they can make it work, and I think that they can really incorporate it into the game in a way that works. Right now, is that the case? No, but everything that they have written here is showing you that they're trying, and that's really all you can ask for. It is really cool how much they are responding to anti-toxicity. I feel like they haven't really touched on this a lot in the past. I know there has been some little itty bitty things, but have we ever really gotten something this expansive about just toxicity? Probably not. And so I think that's really cool. Like how I said, I had a whole video about the Rainbow Six Siege community and toxicity, and it really does ruin everything. Like when people are being constantly like abused in the voice chat or whatever, then people eventually stop playing the game, or they'll turn off their voice chat, and that affects the whole game, and it's obviously just a domino effect. And with this increase in toxicity, money is being taken out of Ubisoft's pocket, and so whether they actually care about our mental well-being or not and how we're interacting with one another in the game, they're going to change it, and they're going to try to make it better either way, because at the end of the day, they are still trying to achieve their bottom line, which is making money. So overall, I think this is great. I'm really happy how transparent they're being with us here. The game has a lot of its own balancing and content issues, but at the end of the day, it can all be tolerated as long as you can actually play the game. And right now, it is really hard to play the game with the current anti-cheat and reputation system and toxicity and things like that. So that's exactly what they're hitting on here in this this player protection update. So I'm happy to see that we're probably trending in the right direction, at least in theory for now. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.